it's taken on more meanings than it had. It's one of those that's never going to go away anymore. It's not like irony, which is just misused constantly by people who think they understand what it means, and that's the thing about it. And words and their meanings, there's something I am kind of anal retentive about to a certain extent. Now, I accept language changes over time, language develops. However, there are a lot of words that are being used now in ways that are just flat out incorrect. The word hasn't changed. It may change. Some of them may be changing. Like gay, for example. When they first started using that, I kept telling people it's wrong, it means happy, but over time that became accepted as being homosexual as well. It happens. That's common consensus, but that's actually gone into the dictionary, that's gone into the accepted literature. Whereas the use of the word irony hasn't changed. Maybe it will at some point, because as much as the dictionary informs our language, the way we use our language informs the dictionary, though that is also not entirely accurate. It's not so much that the way we use the language informs the dictionary, it's more that it influences. Because, well, if it was just a case of if people say this, then it goes into the dictionary, then words would change far too often. There has to be a suitable consensus, which is not just based on popular opinion. I'm sorry, but as much as you may want it to be, it's not based on popular opinion, and it's not based on majority rule either. There are other things involved in the growth of etymology, which is the development of words and language. It's not just a case of we all say that it means this, ergo it means this. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. And it's not about the argument from authority either. It's not people in authority who use them. It's more about we take the understanding that the largest amount of people can correlate to, can understand, basically, which does sound a little bit contradictory to what I just said about it not being a majority rule, but just because people understand it to mean one thing, just because people use it in one thing doesn't mean that most people understand it in that way, if you see what I mean. It's awkward, but yes, anyway, my point is language does change over time, and I'm one of those people who is somewhat resistant to it, but only up until a point. Once it reaches the point that
won't work.
Here we go, there's a great one for you. Genre. Generic. We use the word generic to mean something that is dull, uninspired and bland, when in actual fact it means of a genre. We always now use it as a bad thing because it's been so often used in things like I want to stop for a cup of tea there. Actually, that's a good point. I'll be back in a moment. What was I saying? Yeah, okay, it's recording now. As I was saying, generic originated with the word genre. It meant of a genre. For example, a film with spaceships and a story about an evil group that were trying to take over and there were people fighting back against it would be a generic film because it would be easily recognizable as a sci-fi film with a lot of the standard sci-fi tropes, spaceships, laser battles, Galactic Empire, Rebel Alliance, all that stuff. It would be easily recognizable. That doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. However, a lot of generic films followed a very predictable, uninspired formula. They didn't do anything unique, they didn't do anything original, they didn't do anything of their own. So it became, generally when you heard somebody say something was generic, it was a very quick term to say that it was formulaic and uninspired. So over time, the word has transmuted itself to mean something that is dull and uninspired, whereas it doesn't necessarily have to. However, that is one word that is shifting to the point where it's going to mean that in the not too distant future. It'll be one of those that has multiple meanings, basically. So yeah, the point is, language does change over time, and I accept the fact that language changes over time, but when people use things that are currently just flat out wrong, so be it, because there's only so much change you can allow before it gets to the point where it becomes confusing. Because I mean, if you just make up your own meanings for words and to hell with what they actually mean, then that's where different languages diverge. If you want to have your own language, have your own language. Don't just bastardize one already, especially not a language like English, because that's a bastardization of every other language on the planet to begin with. So, yeah. I'm going to be quite anal about a lot of different things, especially the pronunciation of words as well, because it just makes things more difficult. We use words in the way we use them for communication, and if I can't understand what you mean, if you mean something other than what you've said, then it creates problems, especially for somebody like me, because I'm a very literal person. I mean what I say what I mean. If I say the wrong thing, because sometimes I do, sometimes I use the wrong word because my head goes all blah, 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 and blobbles up and I get it all mixed up and it's all turned around inside my brain. It happens, then I'll correct what I say. One of the worst things you can do, one of the fastest ways to piss me off, is when I say something, you then say, did you mean different words? Especially when you then say, did you mean different words that kind of sound the same, that mean something opposite to what I have said. Nothing drives me mad more than that. If I meant that, I would have said that. It especially gets on my nerves when I've quite clearly pointed out that no, I mean the exact opposite of that. Where I've even gone to the length of saying, no, I don't mean that, I mean the opposite. Anyway, yeah, I finally found out what those things were for. Did some more exploration, because it's kind of what I do when I'm doing stuff like this. I've mentioned this so many times, but yeah, I don't like to go and do all the exploration at once. I like to mix it up, because if it was pure exploration, then it'd get boring and I'd have to cut it out, and then you'd miss some of the videos and I wouldn't get as many views. And everybody knows the most important thing on YouTube is to get all the views, isn't it? That's why I'm always begging for likes and subscriptions and comments and stuff. In fact, that's happened in one of my videos now, but it wasn't me that did. Well, I said it, but it wasn't me that did it. That was because my little girl wanted to. In the Bratz video, we did a recording of Bratz Rock Angels on the PlayStation 2. We'll be doing another one off soon, actually. She watches Yogcast, and I gather they do it at the end. I've never bothered with Yogs. Simon and Lewis, anyway. The Minecraft stuff, and I gather they do it at the end, because when I said it's time to wrap it up, that was what she did. So, hey, if you want to subscribe and you want to leave a like and you want to leave a comment, go for it. More power to you. I'd very much appreciate it. If you don't, so be it. This is free entertainment I'm providing for you. I'm not providing it because I want to make money. I'm not providing it even because I want to entertain you particularly. I'm doing it because I am entertained by doing it. I play video games anyway. I enjoy playing video games, and I've found that this is definitely something I've gone over many times. But I find that playing video games whilst recording and talking about them gives me a different perspective on things. It makes the experience more interesting for me, because I kind of step outside myself and I think about what other people would see and how other people would see what I am doing. Like the fact there that what was that? What was she looking at? What was she looking at? What's that? Something that can't be broken, apparently. Yeah, I don't know what happened with the audio in this one, by the way. It just sort of desynced itself for some reason. Don't get it. Never did figure that out. Anyway, go on, Cooey. Go get on with the stuff you're supposed to be doing. You know where you're supposed to be going. You just decided to go off on a mad, random wander out. Oh yeah, finally figured out how to use the silencer. How to actually equip it and stuff. But yeah, I can't do post commentary that much, because I just end up insulting myself. I'm like, come on, get on with it. Why are you going that way? You should be going head first, because bacon. Yeah. And then you're just going to teleport through a piece of rope. What? He's only just made it.
What do you need exactly?
Alex, we were getting worried. I'm going to need a breaker bar and the rest of my kit. I can't fix this boat without you.
All right, I'm on it.
Because?
Lara is heading your way. You should wait for her.
Yeah, he's trying to impress me, isn't he?
No, I got this.
Whoops.
I'm heading in. Going radio silent.
He's trying to impress you,
What are
honey.
you doing?
Have you not picked up on that yet? He fancies you, and so does Sam. Actually, there's a thing, yeah. It's like Sam quite blatantly has a crush on her. Reyes is a little bit jealous of her. Roth has that slightly too close to really be a father, but still a father figure sort of thing going on with her. Alex is madly in love with her. Grim is a crusty old sea dog, so he doesn't matter. The Maori dude is more like a brother. It's so everyone loves Lara. I know it's supposed to be a pastiche, and it's playing off on the fact that everybody who around my age who grew up with her, we were teenagers, we were hormone fueled, and we're like, ooh, that was gross, she's so sexy, and all that. But it, like everything else in this, is kind of heavy-handed. That's one of the problems I have with I've found with the Japanese trying to do Western stuff, is they don't get the way we do symbolism. It's not the same as the way they do it. They know that we make it more obvious, but when we do symbolism, it's not more obvious in the way they seem to think. They get it more obvious by making it in your face. That's not symbolism, that's just in your face. We do symbolism in a more direct way, rather than it all being based on cultural identity and things from the past, and one thing means another and another thing means another. We have substitutes that are comparable rather than having something that's kind of completely different. Like that weird thing in anime where they squint their eyes. It's just, they have their eyes closed because according to the Japanese that implies wisdom. What they do. Anyway, yeah, I have to get onto symbolism. Symbolism has nothing to do with it. I'm just burning to death at the moment. What's like fun? Oh, it's because I killed a watchamajig. A goal. What was I talking about? Symbolism. Yeah, I know. I know that this was made by Eidos. It was actually developed by Eidos, although it was published by Square, and they're owned by Square now. And I know that Eidos are actually a Western company. In fact, I used to work for the guy who went to university and was roommates with the dude who founded Eidos, I think it was. It was either the dude who founded it or the dude who ended up being CEO during the time of Lara Croft. He had a lot of input. He didn't create Lara Croft because that was some other student guy who was younger, but he kind of greenlit the series or something. He was something important to do with Tomb Raider, and he was one of the CEOs of Eidos at the time that Tomb Raider was released anyway. But yeah, I know that they're a Western company, I get that, but still Square are a bit like EA in a lot of ways.